He's like kind of fat.
The answer for this should be 5. Answer should be 27. Answer on this one should be 0. Pick a number from 1 to 10, drop it off. You have 15 seconds. Winning numbers today are 1 and 4. Homework check, I need the after-test assignment from Thursday up here first. Next, for the homework check, I need the graphs that were assigned on Wednesday of last week. Bring those up, they're worth 20 million each. Next up, the homework answers. These will be lines 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Notice that they're all straight. They all extend all the way through the graph. They touch from side to side, just as this one does, this one, and this one. They all have arrows at either end, and each one has the problem number at either end of it, so it's easy to figure out what it is that we're looking at. They must be straight. You have to use a ruler. If you don't, in the future, it won't count. Any of these things like this will not count if they don't extend all the way through. If they don't have the problem number at either end, they won't count. If you don't have the arrows at either end, they won't count. Here is 4, 5, and 6. You had 5 per graph. I put 3 on mine, so it'd be easier to look at on the screen. You should still see a figure like this, a triangle in there at some point, if you had these 3 lines right. Seven, 8, and 9. 7 is a vertical line, 8 is horizontal, and 9 is diagonal. And there's number 10 by itself. Alright, starting from this point forward, the lessons are going to be enhanced for mobile phones. On this, you can download this free app. It's called Scan, and it's the one from QR Code City, and this is the icon. If you don't have an iPhone, you can still use an iPod Touch if you have the Wi-Fi password, or if you have Samsung or anything else. They all should have something that's called a QR reader. And with these readers, you're going to have codes that come up during class on the screen that you can come up and zap them, and it'll give you extra instruction on what we're doing, a different explanation of it. At the end, there'll be a code on the homework. You can zap that. It'll download it to your phone and give you a perfect picture of it instead of all the lights and everything. Sometimes it doesn't come out right. Your answer keys for your test will have a code on it, and it's an instant lottery ticket from now on. You scan it, and it'll say, sorry, try again, or you've won however much money. If you don't have a phone at all, then somebody next to you can scan your code for you. Either way, you have to bring it up here, and I have to scan it myself to see if it's a winner or not. So you can help each other out if somebody doesn't have a phone next to you. You can download that now if you want to. You can get your phone out and start the download, and maybe it'll be finished by the time you get to the first one in the lesson. The objective for today, to graph lines from slope-intercept form, like we did last week, except I think we need practice on some of the smaller stuff in it. For example, you need to know what and where B is. You need to know what and where M is, and to graph lines with positive or negative slopes. And underneath that, you have to understand why they're positive or negative. Okay, questions to start off with first. Question 1. In y equals mx plus b, what form is this called? It should be slope-intercept form. You should remember that for later on. Slope-intercept form. Question number 2, y equals mx plus b. What is the m? What does the m stand for? M stands for slope. Y equals mx plus b. What is the b? What does it stand for? B stands for the y-intercept. It's at the end of the equation. Question 4, slope is something over something, and it's not in terms of numbers, it's in terms of words. There's a word for the top and a word for the bottom. Rise over run is right. Yeah, slope equals rise, and that was supposed to be a walk-by problem to get money, but he already gave you the answer. So it's rise over run. Rise over run is slope. Now in terms of direction, slope is also something else. Not rise over run, but in terms of direction, like up, down, left, right. Slope equals up or down, depending on if the top number is positive or negative, and on the bottom, walk by with this answer. You always go to the right on the bottom for slope. You always go to the right on the bottom for slope. Always to the right. Scan here to learn more about slopes and graphs. Alright, example number 1. What is the slope of this line? Find 2 points on the line that intersect precisely here. This is a point that we'd like to have, and this one, and this one. They all lie on the intersection of the graph paper. You don't want to pick a point that's like this, because that would be a half of something. You don't want something like this, because that would be a fourth of something. It's got to fall right on those intersections there. And there are the 2 points that I picked. They clearly fall at the intersection of that graph paper. So now create a triangle from those 2 points. There's the triangle. The rise is the one that goes up and down, and the run is the one that goes left and right. So count the blocks on each side. Starting at the right side, we have 1, 2, and then 3. The rise equals 3. On the bottom, you have 1, but let's walk by with the answer to the bottom. So we have 1, 2, and then 3, 4, and 5. 5 total blocks there. So we have a run of 5. The rise was 3, the run is 5. Now walk by with what the slope should be as a fraction. The slope should be 3 over 5. But before you can go any further, sometimes you have to do something else. Does the line rise to the right, or does it fall to the right? If the line rises to the right like this one, then the slope is positive. If the line falls to the right, then the slope is negative. So 3 over 5 was our slope. Did the line rise to the right or fall to the right? It rises to the right, so it is a positive slope, but you don't have to write the plus sign next to it. You only have to write a sign if it's what? Negative. Example number 2. What is the slope of this line? Choose 2 points. They are the 2 points that I chose because they go through the intersection of the graph, the grids that are on there. And create a triangle. Now count the blocks. On the left side, we have 3. What's on the bottom? 3. We have 3 on the bottom. I should have given that to you for money, but I went too soon. You have 3 blocks on the bottom. So that's the rise. This is the run. The rise over the run equals what? Bring that up here. 3 over 3 is what we have so far, but some of you put 1, some of you put negative 1, some of you put negative 3 over 3, all of which could be right so far in the problem. But is it positive or negative? Now we go further. Did the line fall to the right or rise to the right? Fell. So therefore, it falls to the right and it has to be negative. So now it's a negative slope. So the slope is really negative 3 over 3 right now. So you can't have anything else but negative 3 over 3 so far. But there is something else you have to do. You must reduce when possible, no exceptions. So if the slope is negative 3 over 3, walk by with what it should be after it's reduced. Alright, the answer should be negative 1 over 1, but you reduce that to negative 1 for the final answer. Slope equals negative 1. Practice problem number 1. What is the slope of this line? Drop it off up here on the table when you think you have it. On the practice problem, I'm going to choose this point and this one, you have a triangle that can go from there to there, and you have 1 and 2 for the rise, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the run. And since it goes to the right, it's positive, 2 over 7. Bonus number 1. What is the slope of this line? On this problem here, you're going to find 2 points such as this and this. You could have also used this one and this one as well and still come up with the same answer. I'll make the triangle here and here. I have 1 and 2 for the rise, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the run. It falls to the right, so it must be what? Negative. Negative 2 over 6 must be reduced to negative 1 over 3. Practice problem number 2. What is the slope of this line? Here's this point and this one. Make a triangle, and you have 1 for the rise, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the run. Since it goes to the right, it's positive, so it's positive 1 over 6. Bonus number 2. What is the slope of this line? For this one, I'm choosing this point, and the triangle will look like this. The rise is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the run is 1, 2, 3. But since it falls to the right, the answer must be negative, a negative 5 over 3. Questions to answer. What is the y-intercept of this line? Write it down and walk through here with it. Yeah, the answer to this is simply 1, because the y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis at that point. Here's another walk-by problem. What is the y-intercept of this line? This line crosses the y-axis at negative 1. What is the y-intercept of this line? This line crosses at negative 2 on the y-axis. Don't bring this one up, just tell me what it is. 0 is right. What is this one? 3. Example problem number 3. What is the equation of the line? We're going to put it all together now. First, you have to find the slope of the line. And there are the 2 points that I chose, here and here. And that's 1 and 2 for a rise and a run, 1 over 2. And it's positive because it goes up to the right. So now we have a slope of 1/2. Mark that down and save it. Now walk by with what you think the y-intercept is. The y-intercept on this should be 1. It crosses at a positive 1 on the graph right here. So put it all together now. Y equals mx plus b is the equation of a line, and slope is 1/2, which represents m. Y-intercept is 1, that represents b. So insert those values into y equals mx plus b. Start off with a blank template there, so you have y equals x and a space for the m and a space for the b. 1/2 goes to the left of x. Now what goes to the right of x? Write it down with the sign in front of it. What should it be at the end? The sign and the number after it. So it should be plus 1 at the very end. After we've put it all together, it's y equals 1/2 plus, or y equals 1/2 x plus 1. And this is the slope. Remember that is m. And this is the y-intercept. Remember that is b. Here's another example. Example number 4. What is the equation of the line? Find the slope first. I chose these 2 points here. There is the triangle that results from those points. Now walk by with what you think the slope is in the reduced form for that line. You have 4 blocks on the left and 4 blocks at the bottom. That's 4 over 4. But is it positive or negative? It's negative. It goes down to the right. So since it falls to the right, it should be negative 4 over 4. But simplify the slope of negative 4 over 4 to negative 1. Negative 4 over 4 is negative 1. Now, what is the y-intercept for this?
You put that 1 point on -3 down there.
Alright, now on the screen I wrote negative 4, but the y-intercept is negative 3. The y-intercept is negative 3. So now insert the slope of negative 1 and the y-intercept of negative 3 into y equals mx plus b. There's the blank equation. Our slope was negative 1, and the y-intercept is negative 3. I made a mistake on that. But you cannot leave it like this, because you cannot put any number that is 1 or negative 1 directly beside x. That is going to be card number 4 in the back of the room at the top, where it has a 1x with a slash through it. You can't do that. Always drop the 1. Whether it's positive or negative, just get rid of the 1. But leave the sign unless it's positive. So that should really be written as negative x minus 3. Negative x minus 3. You do not need to write the 1 beside the x. Okay, scan here to learn more about finding the equation of a line from a graph. Next up is the exit slip, and you can pick up one of these from the table. Fill in the boxes. Today you can estimate the money you earned. Tomorrow you can start keeping track. And then in the comments section, put at least one coherent sentence about today's class. Anything you want to tell me about it. And then put them here on the corner when you're done.
To put like the real money that we like earn.
The homework for tonight is this, and you don't have to do 6 through 10 because we did not make it that far today. Notice there's a code there on the right side of the screen, and if you zap that code, it'll download the assignment in a perfect copy of it to your phone. If you ever download anything for homework and it comes up as a PDF file, it'll say Dropbox on it, and up at the top right it'll have a download button. Click that and then click direct download, and it'll send it to your phone.